Hello, my beautiful traders, and welcome back to the PJTrades review series where I go over our trade setups and give it to you guys free on the YouTube channel. So all I ask is that you would like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so I can continue to bring you guys free value. Now listen, the month of August is notoriously a very difficult month to trade. Over the years, S&P 500 has not performed that well in August, and the price action and liquidity dries up. With that being said, we have navigated August with precision and just finished up the month of August with an 80-point trade setup, putting me on a 15-week win streak. It's been actually insane. My personal record is 20 weeks of winning. And right now we're at 15, all documented inside of my premium community. So with that, any more baloney, let's get on into it. TurboTax presented by Tostitos, the chip company. So today, man, today was a very fun day in our Discord. We had a lot of fun because when we're making money, everyone's happy. And we've been doing that for 15 weeks straight. So let me break down today's trade setup and kind of get into what I saw and what my thoughts were, because something happened here today. I ended up taking a stop out of 25 points and then re-entering back in to catch the entire move of 80 points at our final TP2. And that just goes to show you that trading is all about persistence and discipline. The 25-point stop out doesn't do anything to my account. Okay. And there were some factors in here that I really didn't like to see after I got into the trade. And sometimes I'm fine with taking a quick stop out. Totally fine with it. Because if the market does end up giving me what I want to see after that, I can look for a re-entry model. And that's exactly what happened here today. So I want to kind of give you guys the breakdown that I would show you on the higher time frames always here on the channel, and then kind of work from there as to why I was looking for higher today, basically. So as always, I like to start on my favorite time frame, the 4-hour time frame, right? The 4-hour here really kind of gives you a visual picture on what this market has done all week. If you look at what this market has done all week, last Friday, August 22nd, we exploded to the upside, right? Absolute explosion. And then what we did is we put in a massive 4-hour fair value gap here. And then the market pulled back into that gap on Monday, August 25. That's the beginning of this week. And if you're looking at the 4-hour, you're saying to yourself, this 4-hour bullish fair value gap is still holding price up. It's literally giving you guidance the entire week that you should probably be looking to stay long this market until we inverse this to the downside, which we haven't done yet. Okay. So this market is holding strong. The 4-hour is literally all you need this week. 4 hours holding strong. We're still delivering out of a 4-hour bullish gap, which is an internal PD array. And we're delivering higher and then eventually higher and higher. Now, that is my 4-hour breakdown. Very simple. I'm looking for higher prices because if we look also on the daily and the weekly time frame, we're bullish, right? Like we're bullish. It's really hard for me to want to take any type of trade to the downside here. Like we'd be fading all-time highs, and this market has given us no reason to really start to just be a bear. Like I'm a bull still. So weekly's bullish, daily's still looking bullish. 4 hours holding that beautiful 4-hour fair value gap. Okay, we put all my markings back on here. We can see we're still holding this gap to the upside. And now we're seeking some sort of trade setup on the morning session here. So today's trade was taken at 8:28. If you guys want to follow along, so 8:28, Thursday, 8:28. I'm just going to break down what I saw from start to finish. So we're bullish on the 4-hour. Market comes up in here and it sweeps the data wick high. Now, I know a lot of you are probably going to ask me, well, PJ, why are you not looking for... let me delete all this real quick. I'm going to break it down just like I normally would with the students. Why are you not looking for data wick highs to get swept and then looking at this reversal here? To be 100% transparent, we were looking for this. We were looking for this opportunity to possibly short this 5-minute bearish gap. Okay. And if I bring price back here, you can kind of see what my idea was looking like. We were very, very interested in possibly taking this 5-minute inverse and retest back down into London low because it's open, right? And the other thing that really stood out to me was we have this massive data wick high we swept to the upside, and then we have a data wick low that we left. Okay. This was the data wick high and low from the NVIDIA earnings. So a lot of the times the market wants to sweep these data wick highs and lows because there's tons of orders resting in those areas. So to build an idea into being short today off of this 5-minute inverse, I could totally understand why you would want to do it. Okay. It makes sense. You're sweeping data wick high, and now we're possibly targeting even down into London low, Asia low, and then that data wick low. Okay. So I can see why anybody would want to look at that. And honestly, I was looking at that too. But here's the thing that really started to kind of tell me the story that is really all I needed to see. First presented 15-minute fair value gaps, man. They're so dang strong, guys. If you're not having these marked out on your chart, you really need to. Okay. So on this breakout leg from Tuesday, around 2 o'clock, we put in a 15-minute first presented gap on this leg. So we move up higher and explode to the upside. We leave behind this unmitigated 15-minute fair value gap, right? Which price then comes back down into and recovers very, very strong. In order for me to really want to be a bear on this day, a couple things needed to happen that didn't happen that started giving me the inkling that, okay, we're going to continue to seek higher here until we break these levels lower, and we never did. Now watch, here's clue number 1. 5-minute bullish fair value gap doesn't go inverse. It doesn't go inverse. Look at this. Doesn't go inverse. It holds. That is my clue number 1. That, okay, that's very interesting. That's also the first presented 5-minute gap on this leg. That doesn't hold. That holds, excuse me. At the same time, the 15-minute first presented on this leg is holding. Clue number 1, clue number 2. Okay. Now, again, if we flip this gap here, there's a high likelihood that we're going to London low, but it doesn't happen. This is why you got to be reactionary towards price. You can't just trade this 5-minute inverse. I mean, you would have made money here targeting these external lows, but you got to know if you're in this trade, oh crap, we didn't inverse this 5-minute. We just tapped that 15-minute first presented. And this is not a great close for shorts. Okay. So got to start building in thesis here as to why the short is now not working. Good scalp trade, but not a great continuation trade. So I see this. Okay. And now I'm looking at that 15-minute first presented. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I'm looking at that 5-minute closure. We didn't inverse it. That's interesting. We tap back down into 830 opening price. Okay. We're holding a very key level. Okay. Starting to get interesting for me. Now, here's where I'm going to delete this. Here's where I start looking at a potential long setup. The first thing we print here is a breaker block. Okay. Always a good clue when you see a breaker block getting printed out of a fair value gap that, okay, this is actually starting to look pretty good for a potential reversal back up into the highs, right? So we get a breaker block. Again, third clue, a bullish breaker block prints out of a 15-minute first presented and a 5-minute first presented. This should starting to click now. It should start right here, starting to click. Now, here's what happens in my trade. Here's how I end up taking a stop out, which is pretty unfortunate. The chat says I'm their liquidity, which is funny, but we end up getting back into the trade anyway. This 1 minute goes inverse, right? And I really like this candle closure right here. I really like this candle closure. So we get that 1 minute inverse, okay, out of the 15 and 5 minute first presented, and we get the flip, okay? On the retest, which is this candle, I am slamming my first long position, okay? We're slamming our first long position. Now, on this trade model, I'm running a wider stop. I believe it was about 48 points. Okay. And I'm running this idea here for like a 1 to 2. Okay. That was our draw. It was going to be the top end of this right around a 1 to 2. Okay. Targeting 83-point trade here. So we're sitting at like a 1 to 7.4, right under a 1 to 2, which is fine. And this trade ends up just dying in the middle of the trade idea. It just dies. Like, watch, the volume just goes kaputs. And we chop and we chop and we chop. And I end up taking a stop out right here at 25. I'm just like, you know what? I don't like this delivery. if we're going to inverse a trade here, I don't want to see this start to go back into the gap and then, you know, kind of just start to slowly trickle. Okay. And at the same time, ES at this point is also telling me a very different story. It looks like it wants to start seeking lower and to clean up this LR. So I'm like, you know what? I'll take the 25-point stop out. That's fine. Okay. So then the market does this. It literally to the tick taps the breaker and now starts delivering. Okay. So looking back at this, you know, maybe I should have just, you know, accepted the risk here on my risk, but I like to be better safe than sorry and not take a full stop out and still give me, you know, bullets in the chamber for that session. So I take a 25-point stop out, no biggie. Now, once we tap this and we start getting this price action, I just take a re-entry right back out at 56, 57 area. So I'm actually right back in this trade at the same area I entered the first time I got stopped out. Now, this just comes with conviction, man. You need to see certain factors and certain levels hold. And as we're in the middle of this trade, the thing that I'm really liking here is we're delivering out of this order block. We tapped into the bullish breaker. Everything's above the 5-minute and the 15-minute first presented, so it still looks good. And we take a re-entry back in at 56, and then we get just an amazing trade from here. Okay. At this draw right here, we go stop at break even. So this trade becomes risk-free at this external high here, which is also a TP2. So we go break even here. And then I'm looking for final distribution up into the external highs here, which is an 83-point full delivery. I got it out at 80 points. Okay. This ends up being a slow burner, but there's the full delivery right there. So today's trade was just, it was conviction, man. I was convicted that this price was going to hold above the breaker. I was convicted that I really liked the 15-minute and 5-minute tap-ins on the first presented. The breaker was another clue. Okay. And then finally, when we came back into this order block and breaker, we get a really nice move from here, which I'm like, all right, you know what? That looks really good. Comes back in, taps, and then goes like exactly the way it should. Respects it here, and then bounces right off this bullish fair value gap and then delivers a beautiful 83-point trade. So sometimes, guys, in trading, to me, a 25-point stop out is information. I don't look at this stuff as a loss anymore, really. It's information and data on the trade. Now, I'm willing to pay that there and then see how we react out of that zone. And once I get that reaction, I'm right back in with full conviction because the trade idea is still valid in my eyes. So sometimes a cheap stop out will end up leading to a big trade setup. And that's why you want to keep your stop losses, you know, you want to keep those losses small and you want to make sure you maximize on your winners. So today was just a really, really great day in the Discord. Everyone made a lot of money today. And, you know, we learned a lot about, you know, just being able to trust in your draws on liquidity. And sometimes like you got to kind of pay a price on a trade setup and and stick to where your draws are in your conviction and get back in the trade and let it run. So beautiful trade setup to end August. We're now on a 15-week win streak and I'm going to go take a little bit of a break and reset the engines and come back fully ready to go in September. So again, guys, thank you so much for the support here on the YouTube channel. It's been amazing. We're almost at 9,000 subs and I know we're going to hit 10,000 subs soon. Maybe we'll do some kind of giveaway for the YouTube family, which would be awesome to give back to the community that has given me so much. So you guys have a great and blessed Labor Day weekend and I'll see you guys in the next trade review.